everybody, and welcome to Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I'm Shelley Pruitt, and my partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith and Mr. Ryan Roberts. Good evening, gentlemen. Oh boy, tonight I'm excited.
We're doing fine, Shelley. Thanks for asking so much. I appreciate that. It makes me feel loved. Thanks so much.
I'll love you later. Okay. You guys, tonight, I was so excited that, number one, these two guys even responded to my request. I think I was jumping up and down and calling you guys going, holy cow, you will not believe who said yes. You know what? I just can't wait. Can I go ahead and introduce them? Okay, so tonight, our guest on the show, I'm going to do it because I don't really care how y'all are. I can talk to y'all later. I want to talk to these two guys. Tonight, our guests are... Okay, we have from Expedition Unknown, the director of cinematography, and he is an extreme filmmaker. You've seen him on Exhibition X, on Finding Bigfoot. We have Mr. Evan B. Stone. And also, we have a paranormal investigator. He's a 20-year veteran of this, and he's a ghost tech expert, and he's a TikTok paranormal investigator as well, and that is Jack Vaisey. And they have teamed up and put together this show called the SVC Explorers of the Unknown. And I have gone and watched one of their first ones that they did, and the production value on this is so good. Yeah. So I'm ready to bring on Evan B. Stone and Jack Vaisey. You guys, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing great.
Wow, that was awesome.
Hey,
best intro I think we've ever had, man.
I don't even care about these guys. Y'all talk.
Shelley's like, this is not EVP anymore.
So I'm going to go ahead and get the elephant out of the room because we all know Expedition Unknown. And Evan, I know that Josh Gates sent your butt down in those cenotes first every time, didn't he?
Well, that's what we do, yeah.
Yeah. So you were just on the season premiere of Expedition X, where you were talking about your experience in the Hoya
Bachu forest. Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us about that? Because that's kind of where you got your interest. I do. I don't waste time, Evan.
Let's get into it. I mean, that's the juicy stuff.
That's what actually made you a believer in the paranormal, correct? Tell us what happened to you.
All right, so I'm going to take this. I was thinking echo, but I get that was my first week on Expedition Unknown, actually, ever. Yeah, it was a unique show, and it still is. I mean, the crew's on the show, right? So they can't just have anyone. They actually it wasn't a casting. It was like, what DPs out there kind of fit this, and there's only a few out there at the time. But I'm a mountaineer and climber from early days, and I'm a DP forever, so it kind of fit. And I knew the owner, Brad Coleman. And it was an adventure show to me, and I'm from New York City, so all the this was new at the time, but I was I'm open for it, and at the time, so that was the first week I went there, and basically, what happened, right? You want to know what happened? Like only thing I could say, only thing I could say is, it was unexpected. I went. And basically, I was doing something called an isolation. Basically, the crew, when there's something like that, the Halavuchu Forest is like a circle. Nothing grows there. It's steeped in lore. Really nothing grows there. And we did some tests. We didn't know, it wasn't anything particular, radiation or anything. World War II, there was a Nazi camp there. It has all this lore and all sorts of Romania. It's super. It's like Transylvania. It's like Romania's like really, folklore is like real there, So all that aside, I don't know what happened. It felt like I was having like, I was there for 25 minutes, and it felt like I was having like some sort of episode, or if I had a flashback of some sort of high school years or something, the sky was going one way and the bottom was going another, and I was like, "Wow, that's strange." And I heard some voices, and I felt this wind come down and just hit me. And then I don't remember much after that. They found me in the woods about 20 minutes later, um, and then I had some itching on my arm, and it had these cuts on my arm, and then I got really like scared and I was confused. And then they just kind of wrapped. They were Josh was real cool about it. He's like, "All right, guys, let's get out," made it, as best as possible for me.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about the whole. I mean, I just went on with the show and went on my life for the last 14 years. But it always comes up, when I go to Josh's speaking engagements, I get like a standing O because people, for that event, or when people go up and ask Josh, I want to ask you a question. It's like, it's actually for Evan. And, I'm getting a lot of notoriety for that. And at the same time, I was watching, I want to get kind of back, trying to get the team back together at Destination Truth. I think it was a really unique show. I'm all about getting it on camera. I'm not, when I go into a room, I don't feel something. I just want to get it on camera. So that's my lane. That's where I stay in.
Right.
And I wanted to get everyone else back, but no one, everyone's doing their own thing, and they're not really that. They're not doing. That's what they don't do. They're in the business,
Right.
We're available.
What's that?
I said we're available anytime you need us. And Evan, we actually have a picture of your arm because you were lifted up and you were thrown. And what was so crazy was the way your arm looked. And Blake's got that. That is what Evan's arm looked like, you guys. And he had on long sleeves and everything else. And it tore him up whenever it threw him.
Yeah. God, man.
I mean,
damn.
I remember watching this episode when it aired, dude. And I mean, doing this as long as I've never seen anything like that.
No, I don't think I have.
No.
And I put it aside for 14 years, and I still don't.
Do we go back?
And nothing happens. I'm with Jack all the time doing investigations, and we don't go. That doesn't happen. Thank God.
So,
right.
If it just happened to me always, it'd be really bad.
So how did this come together then? I'm going to pitch it to Jack. And
Jack,
ask
did you stalk him?
How did
I was totally stalking his Facebook, and I was like, I'm just gonna hit up his DM and see if he answers. And I was like, oh my God, he answered! And like,
that's what I did. Me too.
So for years, I've been a fan of Expedition Unknown, Destination Truth, and I watched them for so long. And a lot of how I base my investigations is around what I watched on DT and Expedition Unknown. And I got in touch with Ben Hansen, who was part of Factor Fake Paranormal Files.
Right.
Talked to him for a while. Really great guy, down to earth. And I was just on Facebook, and people you may know. I was like, I definitely don't know him, but I'm about to. So friend request got sent, and I messaged him, and I was shocked because it was like faster than most of my family responds. He responded, and he was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm like, "Dude, I just want to say, love what you do." I said I'm a TikTok creator. I take people on paranormal investigations. I just hit 200,000 followers, and I think it was at 130 million views at that point. And he was like, "Dude, that's awesome. What do you got?" And I said, "Watch some of the lives." So one night he was in there, and he helped me out with stuff with Photo AI on some things that I caught, and it's it fills in what's missing in the photo, but doesn't create anything new. And he made some stuff that was amazing. And he was like, "Dude, I'm gonna fly out," and he did. Like, went down to Syracuse, picked him up. And that week we worked 100+ hours just filming season 1 and filmed it in 5 days.
So that go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
I'm saying that initial meeting that you guys had is what is captured in the very first of the first episode you guys did, right? That was the first time y'all met each other.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Wow.
I like.
Talk about a level of trust coming out to upstate New York, like the sticks.
Yeah, you could have been the murderer.
And I could have been. Yeah, it's
Still could be.
Jury's out.
Allegedly. That's a very important word.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Yeah, I'll protect you, Evan.
It's the live thing that really got me. I'm a storyteller, and in Hollywood, things are shaking up. It's finally realized that people aren't watching TV. They're on their phones, and everyone knew that, but there had some Nielsen ratings that were outdated. And now the real numbers are coming in from the streamers, and it's outrageous, right? We all know that because we're in the biz. But you know, as a storyteller, I need to adapt, always pivot to what my language of film is, you know, whether it's TV or I started in skate films. It was selling VHS tape, you know, so whatever that method is. And I was watching Jack live, and I said, well, here it is, right? People will show up to live events, right? So, but it's not only that; it's what live TikTok and live pretty much streaming. It's first of all, it's there in the moment, right? And it's not it's a so it's something special about it. But also in Jack's case, it's interactive. So people are talking to him as he goes. So it's not passive. So to me, that was like, wow, my whole creative vibe said, okay, so here it is. It just came to me. I said, well, let's produce content that's story driven, well produced. It's just me and Jack doing it, but I'm an editor, and I'm, you know, even with it looking horrible or whatever, we tell a story, and we hook people, right? And then the third act of our story, not necessarily the episode, but the third act of our story is always live. So we have, in our case, it was a Lady in White on the Bridge. We went out there, and within the week we found out who it is. It was Napoleon Bonaparte's niece,
Caroline.
Yeah,
Bonaparte.
Caroline.
Yeah, I watched that.
and
It's
she was the Lady in White.
fabulous.
So now we're going live actually tonight, and we're going to go back there and say, have her name, and we have a trigger on it. So, and what Jack brings in is that paranormal, like, this is what we need to do so we don't, you know, the rules of engagement. And I'm all, let's put cameras here and try to get it.
Yeah.
And so
that's the different, like,
what the idea is changing the way stories are told,
Right.
in a way that's really exciting. And this can be ghost stories. It could be someone making an album with music. It could be an artist, and at the end he shows it. It's or a narrative film that ends at last act is live. And how cool is that, right? So
I think how this works with us. I think how this works with us as well is we're both learning from each other. Like he comes in the live element. You know, we got out to the bridge the first night, and I'm doing this, and he's like, slide first, and I'm like, okay. And then like over the time working together from the first season till now, it's been like learning how to shoot things properly, the way the story is told. I'm like, wow, I never thought about shooting it that way, because I'm always been like this, live in the moment. And now, you know, with him, he's learning from me things like, okay, it's okay if things don't run correctly the first time on a live, because things are going to mess up. Things aren't going to go right. And that's okay, because the people see that and they're like, okay, these people are real. They're not setting up some big production. There's not 15 people standing behind them with cameras going, okay, you need to say this. It's real. It's, you know. So,
right.
So you said that after this, y'all are going to go back out there tonight. Y'all are doing a live tonight after this.
You are, you're actually filming right now.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
We
Well,
are.
that's cool. I guess I know what I'm doing tonight.
Me too.
and we're using StreamYard, and we are now we're using cameras. So we go out there while he's in the car, and he's telling me, okay, we have a mission always, right? So we go somewhere, and our mission, we have two missions. One mission tonight is go to the bridge and say your name. Because once you say it in like an earlier episode or earlier, say we're going to go there and do this. Well, you got to do it, right? That's my thing. Like, oh, we got to close the loop of the story. Otherwise, so I'm always like, no, we have to go back because we got to do this. And that's the thing, right? And believe me, stuff will happen. But
it's crazy how much stuff happens around us, man. I can't explain it.
I'm telling you, this to me, I'm obsessed about this. I'm obsessed about telling stories this way. And what better way than to tell it through ghost stories? Maybe we get some young folks involved in history. Because let's face it, we're talking about dead folks, and we're talking about history and these items, maybe, or these things that people did, good or bad, or like keep going into the afterlife. And we both have our whys why we're doing this, separate than a cool idea that we want to tell stories. But we'll talk about that later if you want.
Okay. Ryan, I think you had a question. Go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, it's like the walls have come down and people can put themselves in the action with you guys, and it's making it so much more interactive. But a question that I did have for you is, I know your motto is always be filming, you know, always be rolling.
ABF.
Yes. Is there anything that you like? Something happened to where you couldn't get the camera on in time, or you just were absentmindedly not rolling that happened that you can talk about?
That's a
I
trickster
got the
element
best
we
one
get.
of this.
Yeah.
It's the best. So I'm around a while. I'm not gonna give my age, but I started off in news and very early on after I've doing music videos. And my I worked for this company that it was when Betacam was it came out. It was a Betacam 400, big ones, right? And I'm a film guy, so I was like, yeah, I could shoot anything, just give me the camera. And we're outside. It was like a news thing. It was Gorbachev, the former leader of the USSR, was coming to town, and he was going to get out of his limo. I'm going to walk with him, and he's going to go into the studio. That was my job. And so he took extra long, and I was messing around with the knobs, and all of a sudden here he comes, and there was like other reporters next to me and camera guys. I was like, what how do you trying to be not a fool? How do you turn it on? So as the guys, okay, here it comes, boom, and then it was the battery went pop, 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 boom, it was done. I was like walking backwards. No. I'm not rolling, but I have to, and I go and I put a follow him in, and then I turned to the next cameraman next to me, like, hey Cal, and I was like, dude, you got to help me out.
How much for the footage?
And and God bless him. We walked into the tape room. He made a dub and gave it to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, and
that's cool.
So I'm forever in debt to. Now I do that all the time. Now I'm real friendly with other cameramen, and because it's a little tight circle, and I would do the same. And I think that's I'm gonna pay it forward, because my whole career could have went. Every little thing could.
Yeah. So you missed out on Gorbachev.
that's your. I got it.
Well, yeah, you got it. Yeah. See, our biggest fuck up is okay, we missed, I don't know, that REM pod going off. You missed Gorbachev.
Were you distracted by the birthmark? Is that what happened? You couldn't.
The lesson is how you finish.
That is true. That's true.
I don't feel so bad now because I'm terrible with my camera work. I get distracted by what's going on, and suddenly I'm looking up here, and the only thing I film is floor and asses, because I put the camera down and I'm looking around, and they have to remind me, Shelley, get. Oh yeah, okay, and I'm like, okay, here, let's try again, but I forget.
Well, a lot of it's, especially in paranormal, filming paranormal is like, it's hard and it's easy. You have to be rolling on everything, and you need the right camera. We have a lot of cameras, but when we have too much, we both have extreme ADD, and we get confused, and then all of a sudden the moment it's like, so we have a system now that we have a GoPro on us with a light always. We get in a car and we're talking, we're mic'd up, we're talking always. And then when we get to a location, also have a camera in my hand, so that's two, and I'm just doing this, what's out the window, so we got it there. And then when we show up somewhere, we use phones, we use flip outs. We don't care about the quality, right? Because it's not about that, especially in this genre. And then I take an extra phone I have and I put it in the front dash facing out. So now if anything comes in front, we're covered. and then
the best evidence was top of that,
right? Yeah. So and then since we're mic'd, we have the flip out, which is like a 4K Sony flip out, and with night vision. That's it. It's great. It's no real grain. You can get a Sony expensive camera, but you're always playing with the buttons, and it's not right. It's super grainy, man. It's the Sony flip out, the 4K camera. I'll show you a picture of it.
It's amazing.
It's the camera, and
okay,
it's Blair Witch vibes.
Yeah, I mean, we also have the Destination Truth backpack with the rig looking back. We rock that now. If you have that, and if you're shooting a camera, well, now you have eyes on you, because that's important, right? Your reaction, and then what you're shooting, so you're good. Now we have a thing where we're using the iPhone 15. We love it. So when we put it up there on a magnet, we can go forward, and then we can make a switch to back, boom, boom. And if we use StreamYard, I think we can do both angles. So we're incorporating modern streaming techniques, but we're using Starlink, and we're out there where there's no reception. So we are doing Waverly. I think we're doing the normal stuff.
We're not doing Waverly. We're going to be doing the Hinsdale house.
Hinsdale.
Oh, cool.
Hinsdale,
that's
okay.
never bad, right?
Okay.
I have a story about that place. I slept in the living room. I did it last year, and the first night that I was in there's two stories with Hinsdale. The first story is the first night I fell asleep in the living room on the couch about 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know how I fell asleep, because I usually can't. but I was out. And my two friends were on the couch across from me in the chair behind me. And about 2 o'clock, I wake up. There's footsteps. I'm hearing people have conversations upstairs. But we did a Ouija board session in the kitchen, and Lorraine Warren came through that night.
Oh,
and I've never touched a Ouija board. I'm
Get
usually kind of
out.
against that, but
Mhm.
it was something I wanted to try. It was a new experiment. It was a new experience. And honestly, you know, people with the Ouija boards, it's a bad rap because I think that it's a level of communication no matter what you're doing. SB7, you know, EVP,
You're
your
knocking on a
dowsing
door.
rods, you're knocking on a door. You need to open the line and close the line. So that's, but I went on a tangent. ADD, like I said. The second night, though, was the funny part. The second night, actually day, because we stayed up all night, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We were sleeping because we just needed to, you know, be fully rested to go throughout the night. I wear CPAP to sleep because, you know,
fun sleeping.
it's you
Darth
look like
Vader,
Top Gun
yeah.
staying in your bed. It's great. And so I'm laying there with my CPAP, and all of a sudden I hear talking like right next to my ear, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I know everybody else is sleeping. I sit up in a panic, and there's a guy peeking in the window of the Hinsdale house. My head comes up with a CPAP. This guy, it looked like he saw something out of Alien versus Predator. He ran so fast, tripped over his own feet, and was gone. And I'm like, I'm a new ghost of the Hinsdale house. Like, I'm gonna be like the pilot that haunts the Hinsdale house. Because
You're like the new legend. Yes.
I am.
And
Legend. That's the only way I'm gonna be a legend.
And the Hinsdale house is in the middle of nowhere. So what the hell was he doing all the way out there?
Well, according to the guy, I talked to Daniel, well, through my friend Sheila. She's really good friends with him, the guy that owns the Hinsdale house. Apparently people would just show up and like, oh, this is the place you see on YouTube, this place you see on TV, like, let's go check it out, it's just down the road. And it really is. I mean, it's a small town, just kind of like where we're doing our investigations, and it's in the middle of nowhere.
You don't need permission or anything?
Oh, I had permission to be there. You're supposed to have permission, but you know how people are, you know.
That's right. So I'm going to ask you guys about probably, since you guys have been collectively investigating together, what has been your scariest moment? Because I have to tell you, I was watching one, and Jack, you are sitting there and you have some kind of dual lights that are going up, and I could not figure out ever if that was a motion detector or vibration detector or an audio detector, but it's
audio and vibration.
Audio and vibration. Thank you. But you're sitting there and it starts going up, and you flip your head sideways and you go, Evan, turn around. And Evan goes, why? And I about fell out because we have been in that same situation. Evan, you didn't want to turn around. I could tell. You're like, why? And you were like, not turning around. What was going on?
Down in that area,
the basement.
Yeah,
in the basement. Yes,
it was the basement of the Bonaparte house. That area, you just pick up vibes. Your anxiety goes up, and I think it's just the residual energy that's down there. I think everybody has the ability to feel these things, like medium empaths kind of stuff. I think when you open yourself up to that realm of possibility, you start feeling stuff. And Evan and I were setting up our equipment. They're called geopods. They're audio detectors and vibration detectors. So if somebody's like walking around, you'll be able to hear it. If somebody's talking when you're doing an EVP recording, you'll be able to hear them and get a visual sense that there is something there. And as I was setting things up, I went to go shut off the light, and I remember Evan turned to me and like full anxiety was like, "You're not leaving me down here by myself, are you?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm just shutting off the light."
I had a panic attack, little one.
And happens.
You know, you have to, you know, and it's a, you know, that basement, when you know you're going somewhere where a lot of stress has happened, and you know it, and because it's historical, it's like, you know, and it's a basement, it's dank, no one's been down there, it's
cobwebs.
No, we're the first investigators, you know, it's like, because that's what we do up here. We call it we call it a lot of things. We call it an Oak Island of paranormal. It's a loop. Now we've decided and there's a lot to it. It's a town it's like a Twin Peaks. It's really
oh wow,
pressed and lost in time.
The economy up here is just completely dead.
Yeah, so all of that, plus all these old homes from 1800s, and these people it's not like dirty, like per se, like ghetto-y, but it's just poor, and not poor, but just, I guess, not poor, but
a little bit.
Right, that's a bad term because the people are awesome.
They are. The hospitality up here is amazing.
It's amazing up here, but you drive down the street and it's buildings, 1800s, everywhere. These small, we're at a town last night. We just go out and about.
This is where the ADD kicks in but real quick, before we tell them that, to go back to your question, what happened was, because I want to get back to her original question, and we'll do this.
Yes.
We could be on a podcast for about 6 hours. And
You're fine.
You're fine.
But what happened was I was like sitting there with the EPP recorder. Evan's sitting there kind of just getting his camera ready. And I look over and there's this massive shadow just standing behind him. And it's like kind of looking at him like this. And it's out of the corner of my eye. And it's almost like looking to see what he's doing. And the weird part is actually when we turned around and put the light on it, there was a piece of the GoPro system that's sitting there. And I started up the SB7 and it was a little girl's voice that came in and was talking like about toys. And I looked at Evan, I was like, dude, that looks like a top. Like if you would take it and spin it, it was the nut that, you screwed into the GoPro. And I mean, the intelligent responses we got that night were absolutely incredible. We looked up, code words from the Underground Railroad, things that would let people know that it was safe to come out. And when we started doing that, that's when the activity started really spiking. I mean, it's cool because we're the first people that ever investigated this place. It's, Napoleon Bonaparte's niece, who was a part of the Underground Railroad. And there's so much history with that coming up here because we're so close to Canada.
Yeah. And for me, the scariest thing, I guess, was on the bridge. Afterwards.
Oh, that's your scariest?
Yeah. Well, we're on the bridge and afterwards, we get this, I think the best evidence I've ever got is a full body apparition. We have it on tape. It was when I talked about putting my camera up for it and we were just BSing, blah, 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 blah. And this thing's, people, there's a whole bunch of, there's like a party out there. We're getting it, right? But afterwards, we got it. And we're real honest about everything. Everything we do is transparent. If I do any enhancing with AI, I record myself doing it. It's just making it better quality, bringing out the shadows and things like that. But in that case, we take a lot of photos too. And we took the next day, I was doing all my due diligence with the footage, and we saw there's like demons like in the shadows, and one of them is like up against the what do they call it? The beam.
Yeah. What?
And it was like
it was creepy,
but it was kind of like a woman.
I fished there. I don't want to fish there.
It's kind of was like if Caroline Bonaparte was there, but like the scary version, like no skin, and we're getting amazing stuff.
Drum beats too.
When we're getting amazing stuff together. Something about two people slipping into these places silently. Without any, I need a bit like, hey, when's lunch? With the crew. The crew, it's like
we still do that, but that's just us too. Like, when's lunch?
Even destination 8 people, 9 people to producer 10. Boom, 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 boom. You start pulling up. No batteries are charged. Where's the cards? It's how it is.
Yeah.
And then, but we prep beforehand, and we all have a camera in our hand, and we go in. And we talk about what we're going to do, and what we have a mission tonight there. Actually, some of the grave site we found out in an episode ends, and there's a berm to another to a farm. Well, this berm is pushed up all the graves. I guess the neighbor who's Amish pushed up. They don't care all this berm, and we found it in the thickets that night, and we were like, oh man, and it was a really heavy scene. It was like, oh no. What does that mean to spirits, right? So his mom's a genealogist. We come back, and this is all me. Go click story. Okay, now what? We got to do something. Let's save. Let's save this place, right? It's a really important part of history, because of Caroline Bonaparte and done and everything. And now our mission. We have to go back there. Our mission is to find where it ends and who's in there. By doing that, we're going to find the last bunch of graves. And then go in and get a few names so we know for sure these people.
And I found a map online of the original layout of where the graves were.
So our mission, we have a mission. We're not going in somewhere and saying, oh, what is it like? We actually have a story that we're kind of tell. And that could easily be, after everyone knows and how important it is, live event.
Season 2 is going to be amazing just because of what we filmed this week. We've had, I'm not going to give anything away, but we've had like cryptids, ghosts, and we've had new people show up very unexpectedly. And we have a lot of plans for filming, not just season 2. We're already planning on season 3. And
love it.
There's a lot. I mean, we just got access. I will say this. We did just get access to 300 acres right outside of the Adirondack State Park. And this is a place that nobody's investigated yet. That's a beautiful thing about here. Like I brought some big TikTokers and YouTubers and like even talked to some other paranormal investigators. I've brought people up here and I'm like, there's potential here for a show. And every single one of them, no. I mean, your closest Walmart's an hour and a half away. I'm good. Like it's the middle of the sticks. Like they're just like, yeah. I'd rather be. And then Evan comes out here from Hollywood, and he's like, dude, you literally can walk out your front door and see 3 haunted houses from here. I'm like, yeah,
this place.
Nice.
No, it's gold. It really is.
Quick follow. I was gonna say quick follow-up question real quick because we have a couple of people that are asking in the comments. What is a berm? Is that what you're saying? Berm?
You want me to explain this one?
Yeah.
So a berm is basically this large pile of brush. It's where a farmer comes in and plows. And what they'll do is they'll plow it up, and then the grass is more it's more aerated, so things are able to grow there. So we usually get large trees and things like that.
Okay.
But,
this is where you found that great big pile of gravestones.
It was a long grave. Right. It was long.
Yeah.
It was,
and we found out who did it.
Oh,
wow.
Really?
Somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, that was actually.
Have we released that? I know we've released that we found out who did
saw
it.
it, so I think you must have.
Delicate stuff here. We're talking about.
Yeah, we don't want anybody. The reason we haven't released that kind of information, the historians know now from the town, but we don't put it out there online because we don't want somebody to go out there and try to take justice into their own hands, kind of thing.
Also, our mission is to save it now. Save whatever, one of many that are out there. To do that, you need information, and we're investigators. Who's missing? You can't just say save it. Who's missing? How can we do it? Let's and part of is putting a spotlight on the story, which we do. So history, it's cool that the history's written by whatever the winners and who we get it from, but we're discovering history, and what we don't know, the little parts we don't know, we go to the other side and ask. I mean, that's cool. Yeah.
That's what I love.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about what we do, is when we go into a location, it's kind of like you get to hear their firsthand experience if you're lucky enough, about their lives and what they went through and stuff. So I think this is cool. I see y'all as kind of almost like preservationists, more or less, than just about like trying to preserve these places and these things on these places, the story that goes along with it. That's part of the history. So I love what y'all are doing.
I'll let you go first there, Ryan. Sorry.
Well, no, you're fine. What I was going to say is you were talking about how these places are frozen in history, basically what you're saying. And I remember in the intro to your episode, you guys were talking about how the land was cursed. Can you tell that story?
So the land is cursed up here. I mean, I have a lot of friends that live out and family members that live on the Akwesasne Mohawk tribe. And back, I mean, I guess this goes into a deep story, is the Haudenosaunee, who are the original settlers here, which is now called the Iroquois for upstate New York. When the land was taken, and this was something I heard from members of the tribe, that they basically kind of put a curse on this area, that things wouldn't the economy wouldn't grow. Even the Adirondack State Park, if you think about how that was put together, it kind of leads back into our story because Joseph Bonaparte bought it from James de Luray Chamont, and it was 28,000 acres he bought. And now that 28,000 acres, a lot of it is a part of the ADK, which is the Adirondacks. The curse up here, I mean, honestly, there's so many different things that can be related.
And also,
to that.
they say it's a curse for a reason. The town in the mid 1800s was boomtown. It was all these little areas where it was part of the Industrial Revolution, and up here it's the border of Canada. It's a lot of agriculture. There's a lot. They thought there was gold. It was, everywhere was kind of doing machines, doing things. It was like an exciting time, and this town was vying for a seat on the.
It was supposed to be the county seat.
The county seat, right? And here we have this princess maybe here, and it was the town. The Bentons were very. There were doctors and lawyers in the town. Everything was going great, but then it burnt down once, and then it burnt down. They built it up. It burnt down again, right? Twice, and then it lost 3 times.
It burnt 3 times,
and then they lost their seat. They lost their seat. They lost a chance because of that, and then people were dying, and it was just like a tragedy all the way down to now. We're like, it never ever, and now it's
It's just
it just
there.
the town. It's called Oxbow. The town, if you
Mhm.
Google it, nothing. It's just like a little loop, with some houses and this graveyard. And there used to be stuff, but it's all down. It's by this.
The reason it's called Oxbow is in the Oswegatchie River does a little loop right by the town, and that's actually that loop is called an oxbow. That's what it looks
That's
like.
right.
Okay.
That's how it got its name. Back in the 1800s when it was booming, there was hundreds and hundreds of people flocking out to this area, almost thousands, they said. And now the town has a population of 160 people.
Yeah, and it's weird. There's like,
It
of
is.
course, me, I'm like Twin Peaks guy.
And
he's
he could
like,
carry
"Where
a
you
speaker
hiding?"
around with the eerie music as we're walking down the town. He's like, dude, just get the vibe. And he does that. Like, that's what I love about him. He gets to the moment. You can tell he has a passion for it because, like, we'll go down this road and it'll be like dark and he'll be like,
Oh, jeez.
and I'm like, oh my God, we got sound effects. We don't even need the audio track.
Like, I just saw the log lady. She's over there.
Then you go into as far as
Right.
what is you've been taught, and once you do that, and you're very creative, which with cameras, and now wouldn't that be cool? And let's stay here and do a EVP because it's the acoustics. And you gotta be creative to do ghost hunting, and also to get it on tape. And you can go and experience anything and just tell a big fish tale. But we're down to like, let's check this out, and what is it? And anyhow, I'm just passionate about. Look, I'm obviously not doing it for the money because me and him are
because
just
we're spending our money.
we're just
Yeah.
right.
There's no money in ghost hunting.
I'm more
No.
into like,
No, and that's the thing. Like, it's not just the ghost hunting, like the filming and everything. We started a Kickstarter because we're like trying to actually get this to the level even higher than what we have right now. We have a lot of big ideas for not only the show but things to help the community up here, the town of Oxbow. The Presbyterian church that her family, or where she's buried, is actually the church pulled out and it's leaving. They just left it there, and they're going to put it up for sale. And when we were over there actually filming a little behind the scenes snippet, we were filming with a drone and doing like drone footage of the church. And this guy walks up and he's part of the historical society. He's like, "You guys aren't from Dollar General, are you?"
yeah.
And I'm like, "What?"
Dollar General.
They were Dollar General was actually talking about buying that property, plowing down the church, and putting a
Wow.
store next to the cemetery.
But it
And I'm
comes-
thinking that could be our one stop for like batteries at Dollar General. Then you go next door to the cemetery. You never need to worry about it again. But I mean,
it needs it.
it needs it, yeah. And so when
Yeah.
we do these places, we do these small towns. We want to like give back to the community, whether it be money or doing a fundraiser or doing like an event where people like the show Finding Bigfoot, where they do that town hall meeting and people come in and tell their stories. Let's do that and do a donation thing, and it goes back to the historical society. That's what we want to do.
Obviously,
That would be
locals
cool.
won't do that. It's something we have to be TV show, or a popular. So that's why we want to be popular.
Yeah.
We want we have the Kickstarter to get thermal imaging drones. We want to tech out, and also
Some of the stuff we'd catch if we had a thermal drone, even like last night.
Yeah. Like, and we want to leverage AI technology with story help and enhancing images. And I could talk. We can have a separate podcast, and I could do a clinic on how I do it. It is mind blowing. It's just opening up the photos. You'll see. It's incredible.
insane.
And I feel I get my camera, and my phone, and show it.
So since you guys are telling these people stories, do you feel like you're being led to do what you do to get their stories out there?
100%.
We talk about that all the time.
Like literally, I've been doing this for 23 years, and my mom's a genealogist, like you said, and my mom we always used to make the joke that my mom loved hanging out with dead people more than she liked hanging out with the family, because she'd be out in cemeteries and cleaning up stones and stuff. And now she sees what I'm doing, and she's like, "Oh my God, Jack, you're in cemeteries more than I am." And I was like, "I know, it's your fault." And it comes back to I really do think that Caroline has led us into this, and not just her, but there's so many spirits that we've come across that
Totally. I think that if you put your head into that's going on, it's first of all, it's fun, right? Let's just break this down. We all know ghost hunting is fun when you're out there, and it's kind of like when it finally you're doing it.
We're
Right,
swimming though.
right. We're swimming. Everything's away, and all your
Coming in season
the
3.
chatter is away, and you're kind of in the moment.
Yeah.
It's fun as all hell, and to get there it takes a little bit. But Jack and I, we say we're like stepbrothers. That movie. It's like,
It is
we're
definitely.
just like click.
There's not room for activities in here because there's so much camera equipment and ghosts.
I mean, it's you. you open up your doors of perception, and now and it comes at you in these signs, and you have to know and see something and say that's strange. Talk about it because we're doing a show. Open up, look, check this out. What do you think? What if? And then that's a little bit of content as well, because you're opening up ideas what it could be. And then it always seems to kind of be the bring us somewhere that's, and I guess that's life, right? I mean, people say that you can make your own destiny by just thinking about it. And if that's the case and we can harness it, wouldn't that be nice?
I think the other thing that is nice about when we bring Evan in here and he's doing that kind of filming and stuff, and people see some of the evidence, we give it to the live people and we go, what do you think it is? Or, hey, have you heard any folklore about this area? Or, even I have a bunch of people who watch me who are history buffs. I've had, because we have a Discord too where they can come in and communicate with us, and we'll be live and somebody will have sent me like ancestry.com. Hey, by the way, found out about this person. And I'm like, wow, like they're really investigators along with us, and I think that's what I love about the live aspect. I mean, I remember being a little kid watching Ghost Hunters Halloween live event.
I used to do that,
and Josh was doing the thing. One of my comments was read by Josh in the show, and I'm sitting there like
oh my God.
and I've had people like comment something. I'll be like, hey, yeah, that's a really good idea, and I'll say their name, and they'll be like, oh my God, you read my comment. It's like, yeah, because you may had a great idea, like
that's really cool.
Well,
that's Jack's game. I'm coming in with like when you say Hollywood, it's not like you're gonna get screwed over Hollywood. It's more the talent people,
right,
Hollywood,
yeah,
who are making the content in a professional way, who are thinking about, well, why are we going here, and what is their name? Let's go. If we say we're gonna do something, let's do it, and all of that. And so I'm bringing that authenticity, and we're actually talking about starting to really share, kind of not gatekeep on how to shoot these things, and
open it up.
we're gonna be part of our whole world is showing people how to do it, to have some fun.
We're thinking about putting on some like events where we have like a theater or something like that, and people can come in and learn from one of the best, I think. And I'm not just saying that because you're my partner, because I ridicule you all.
Well, that is something I heard you guys
Got to keep
mention
each other humble, right?
that Evan was actually going to be doing either on Facebook or YouTube camera instruction for filming and how to catch these things. Are you still planning on doing that? Because, child, I need a class.
Oh yeah. Oh, I could do it.
That'd be great.
It's first of all, roll the camera and don't stop and put it on the green mode, and because there's no need to stop, right? It's a card, it's a tape, whatever, go a whole hour on it, and what Jack and I are trying to do now is we talk about what we're going to do that night to a certain extent. It's like, okay, so we're going to show up, and why don't we start with a sweep and get this info, and then let's go back and let's set up a perimeter with different cameras first, because we're investigators. And the more we talk about it, and you guys, when you go out there and do it, you could just blast out there and have some fun, and you'll get some great stuff. But if you think about it, even when you're driving, say, oh, I'm going to start with a story, and the ghost stories are going to bring people into it. And then we're going to do a sweep, and I'm going to put some cameras down. And this is the process of that alone is great. And then have a mission. Like, we're going to try to find something that brings us to this time period. And then that's it. Because that's me in Expedition Unknown or Destiny. We never find anything, really. We do sometimes. But it's about the journey. It's about discovering stuff. So I'm learning. I'm teaching. I mean, all that stuff I have, but I just can't help it. It just comes out. I try. It's just the two of us.
It stopped me a lot because honestly, like I said, all jokes aside, the whole phone thing, we get out there in the field and he's doing stuff and I'm watching him. Like he'll get right down on his hands and knees. He'll be like laying on his stomach doing this. I'm like, why are you doing that? And then I'll go back and I'll watch it. I'm like, it's all about perception, like the way that you're looking at it, the POV. When he brings that into the moment, like when you're watching the episode and there's like going around the gravestone and you have the sun in the back, I'm watching it now and I'm just like, wow, now I'm going to try to copy it. And I've been doing that. And he's like, hey, see? And I'm like, wow. Yeah.
Sexy stuff he's talking about right here. Yeah. Which I could make it super slick. I could make this thing like Expedition Unknown, but I shoot on my iPhone a lot, and both of us do. And that rough look is really authentic because it's just us, and we have a tech. We leverage AI in an editing senses. We talk a lot about story, and then we give it to ChatGPT to take verbatim our transcription and to make sense of it. We ask for bullet points of what we talked about, and then we take we say, okay, now per exact words, give me the best of, and I take that into Premiere into text to edit, and it just snaps it in our workflow now. Now I'm not burdened with, oh my God, I hate editing. I'm good at it, but gosh,
It's a lot.
bare,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I've kind of cut through that with the help. It's not doing the editing for me, but it's doing assistant editing work, and it's really changed the game. I mean, you guys with this podcast, I could teach you how to do it. So it's amazing. Um, it's it's really cool, and I feel like crying every time I do it because it's like, oh, just save me 3 days of editing.
There was one day he was doing an episode and he was like, dude, I need you to start doing B-roll. And I'm actually starting to work with him where he's I could not believe he brought up Premiere and I'm like, it looked like something out of freaking Da Vinci Code. I'm just like,
Oh, that's silly.
I'm like, well, no, because you put that much detail into it, like with B-roll, and then there's like on top of that, there's different footage and audio. But when he explains it, he's good at teaching. He's like, it's not that hard. Just watch this, and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes it a lot worse, a lot better. You know, not a lot worse. Wow, live
Makes it look a
creators
lot
screwing
worse.
up.
I want to get him to be a
Dying
professional.
inside.
I want him to be a professional editor. I want him to start making some money that's proper, the way he's a talented guy.
Yeah, I live in the poor North
And
Country.
I mean, it's crazy. I'd love to be the guy who found Jack, and that's part of what I'm doing too.
So I have to ask, who actually has to edit? Who has to go back and review the evidence? Because we find that is both of you do it. We find that's our downfall. We get excited about something, we move to the next thing, and then we're like, oh crap, we didn't review the evidence. So you both do it immediately?
No, it's over time. And the thing is, like, a lot of people don't realize with being paranormal investigators, you have 8 hours of footage on one device.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 4 devices, it's
32
so it adds
hours.
up.
Yeah.
And if you catch something, you have to go back and check it. Then you have to go back and pull another camera and see if that camera caught the same thing. If you hear something audio, is the audio caught over here?
There's something to help that. So we're starting to be like, when we find something, we say certain words so we know that we're going to transcribe and it's going to catch. We say that's piece of evidence number, whatever. We're coming up with a vernacular, but if it's just consistent, we can now do a transcript and say, go to all words that say this. And the paragraphs will come up. And so there's
that for stuff we hear live in the moment, though. So EVPs can still take a little bit of time, but as long as the best thing that I've learned, because I started when I was 16 years old, and I got to if you're the new guy in the paranormal team, you get put in the worst places. First off, that's a scary place where people get pushed, punched, and the door gets shut behind you. Yeah, send the young guy. And then the EVP recording was my first way, and I've been doing this since I was 16. The best way I can do it is every room that we have an EVP recorder, and every room that we have a video recorder, one day I'm tasked with that room, and then I move on. And there's been times where even with doing TikTok, I had like 15 to 20 hours of video that I had to go through live, and I had some cameras rolling at some points as well. So it adds up.
And when you do find it, we have this evidence at the barn, inside the barn.
Oh yeah,
that we haven't. It's for our patrons. It's like a group of demons talking. It's like the stuff.
It's scary.
The stuff when you get an EVP and you raise it up, especially digitally now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take the Premiere. You press a button, cancel noise, the low end. You kind of stretch a couple of things around, and all of a sudden it's another world back there, and it's really cool. It's like it just makes me think like. It was like, I'm not going to say, oh, there's stuff out there. I'm like, what is that?
And that's the thing. Like, we have the Patreon, and the Patreon is another way where people can help support our channel. Because for TikTok, we have our subscribers, of course, Kickstarter, and then our Patreon, we have behind the scenes stuff that you don't see on TikTok, you don't see on YouTube. Like for example, I'll just kind of give this. I got to hold Napoleon Bonaparte's flintlocks at one point.
What?
I got to go tour a museum. The guy that I know, he's the gun guy for Pawn Stars. So I got to tour his private museum and got to see a lot of cool things. And, you know, my first question walking in and seeing those things was like, what do you guys experience here? Like, is there any kind of like hauntings? And he just looked at me and went, not talking about it. And I was like, I hate that. You get those places where you're like, yes, tell me. And they're like, no. And so that's the thing I love about this, because we're going into historical places. Yeah. We're becoming friends with historical societies. We just met with a very, I can't say it the way I want to say it because there's certain stipulations that we're under.
Historian, or
a very important town historian who is helping us. And she loves ghost stories, but she loves that they're told correctly.
Yeah.
Don't blow them out of proportion.
Yeah.
I've worked alongside with a couple historical societies, one in Mexico, New York, and they're great people. You know, they have a museum for the Underground Railroad called the Star Clark Tin Shop, and they've had some, you know, bigger YouTubers and ghost hunters that have come over and called the place haunted by a demon, and it's not. And it's like, we're never going to be those people that are going to blow some area out of proportion. We want to tell you the history, and we want to tell you the real stuff you're going to go against. Because if you tell somebody that, you know, they're going to deal with a demon, you're going to have people who are not going to do the right thing. They're going to go in there, they're going to provoke, they're going to try to get that 1 million followers, and they're going to put themselves at risk, anybody who's with them, and then they're going to leave. And people are going to go back there and they're going to deal with the repercussions that they left.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of scared of. Like, that we're going to find that we found this honey hole of paranormal activity, and people are going to come in and be rude to these people. So that's why we're trying to, when on our show, do the right thing as well.
We're also skeptics and believers. Like, and that's the biggest thing about being a paranormal investigator. You go in and you think every place is haunted, every place is going to be haunted. But if you go in and go, what is scientific? Like, what can we prove and what can we disprove?
That's the hard part, right?
It is, because there's so many stories out there with every small town. And that's where we're really aiming at, is the small town that their story hasn't been told, but it's been passed down for generation after generation. I mean, the nice thing is having, you know, the inn that I have with the Akwesasne Mohawk tribe, talking to the people I've talked to, their tribe goes back 4,000 years. And then before them, there's the Paleo Indians that go back 14,000 years in this area. There's stories that you'll never see online. You'll never hear in a book or read in a book. And I'm getting those. And it's cool because, you know, we just got invited to a powwow, and that's going to be cool as well.
Oh, that's cool.
I'd like to see the results on that. It's hard to get on the res to do anything.
I've been to a couple, and they're really amazing. The music and the folklore, the stories that are told. Yeah, it's you have to go. They open it to the public actually now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they're really trying to share their you know, just their story. I mean, you got to think, you know, you have a lot of reservations that are dwindling because you know, land's getting less and less. Yeah. And it's cool to see that this tribe up here with the Akwesasne Mohawk, they really are. They're becoming, hey, come into our community, hear our story, learn who we are, stop hearing what everybody else on other channels is telling us. Actually learn it from us. And I love that.
I'm waiting to go.
So I think what is probably going to be one of the most fascinating aspects of your show is the fact that, it's nice to go to a Hinsdale House, a Waverly Hills, to the Conjuring. It's nice to go to those, but you're trying to find that story that nobody else has heard, nobody else has told. And whenever you find something like that, we have one very similar to that. We got into one area. They've only let us in. They trust us. They let us bring people in, and we have more things there because that's a location that nobody comes to talk to. So do you find that whenever you go into those locations nobody's been in, that it might take you 24 hours, but suddenly they go, okay, you're willing to listen? Do you find you get more activity because of that?
Well, for sure.
When you put effort into anything, like, and I think that's the thing, like when you go in, you could be a ghost hunter and just walk in the door and be like, oh yeah, it's haunted. This is cool. Let's set up cameras. We go in and we talk about the history and we learn about the history. Yeah. And then I think it goes back to learning who Caroline was, not just her name, but who she actually was in the community.
That's right. And if you're into history and actually hidden history, like stuff I think this particular story is a really good point to it. I personally, I'd go to this town. Of course, I'm like, this place is great. It's horrible. It's great. Every place is abandoned. It's just so, but I go to the graveyard, and he's like, "You got to see this. Is Carolyn Bonaparte, a niece, um, is at this grave?" And I go to the grave, and I think it's just like going to be awesome. And it's
Gold leaf, large
and
monument.
it's one of the worst graves I've seen. I mean, the thing is tilted, and I'm like, wait. I was like, what's going on here? Like, why? Because we didn't know why, but then we found out. And the answer is really interesting. She was helping the Underground Railway, and she was pretty much put herself in a kind of witness protection program on her own. Like she went undercover to help people because people thought she was a princess and wanted to, be bad.
Right.
And she became a teacher. She became a French teacher, real humble. But at night, she was like superwoman. She would be ushering people into safety right to Canada. She was right on the river. She had a whole a basement with all this stuff going on. Meanwhile, she had a real tragic life. Her husband really did her dirty, took all her money,
Yeah.
and it really left her out there. And so when we found out the entity is her, it was like a chill. It was like we both at the same time said she's still ushering people across the bridge because we were like, why is this entity on the bridge, right? Because why? Okay, separately we're doing this other story and all tied together, and it was like the coolest moment. And now we're like, we're gonna go back to and we're gonna go live, and that's when we go live
tonight. That's the cool part.
Go live, and now we have her name, and we say her name.
Well, the other thing with this whole area is it's not just her. There was another story, and I had no idea that they collided. The other story was from the same guy that saw the lady in white, and there's multiple people who have now come forward and said, yes, I've heard the story. I've had an experience. And the first story I heard was my friend is an avid fisherman. There's lake sturgeon that go up to 4 to 5 feet that swim through this river. And so they go down there and they put their lanterns on, or they start a fire and they start fishing. Well, they opened the lantern and they started casting their rods in, and all of a sudden they look downriver and there's these lights floating on the water, and they're like, is it like DC? Are we not supposed to be here? Like, what's going on? So they shut their light down right as the lights were getting close, and when they closed their lantern, they had one of those pop-up ones. The light just went away. It was gone. So I was like, that's really weird. And he said it was like this orange flickering strong light though. So when I started doing history about Caroline Bonaparte and finding out about the Underground Railroad, they would actually take kayaks and rafts, and they would float the slaves down the river in the Oswegatchie to the St. Lawrence River across to Canada.
Yep.
And how they would signal that it was a safe spot to land is the man on shore would light the lantern, and they would light their lanterns in response saying, okay, we're coming in.
Signals.
So as he's fishing, it sounds like a residual haunt, or maybe an intelligent. It could fall under, because it did recognize that he lit that lantern.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that light comes on. And so it's crazy to think that this one area, these two different experiences were a part of the same story. We never knew until halfway through the season.
Right. How cool, right? So creatively, you're like, you're piecing these things together, and we're doing a show at the same time. So, I'm always like, well, our car with the GoPro is always our little debrief where we can just really say, wow, what the hell happened, and kind of riff on it. And
we get so excited, dude. I'm like, we got good evidence. He's like, I captured it on film. And I'm like, yes.
It's fun. And but we get deep too, about her. And like to really know about, you have to put yourself in her shoes in the time period, and what kind of person would do that today?
Yeah.
No one I know. Good, selfless like that. These are right. I mean,
they're good people.
I mean, anyone who helped the Underground Railway was risking their life, especially someone like her. And after she got done so dirty by her man, it's really. And so we also found out that the lady in white is usually, because it's a tale around the world, as a woman got done dirty and coming back for revenge. And I thought, that
like Zebulon, Caroline. Okay, this makes
get you. Yeah.
The other cool part that I have set up this spring, and I actually never even told you yet. I actually have a volunteer group that's coming in, and we're going to clean up the cemetery. We're going in, and we're going to expose the shrubbery that's around the gravestones. When we go there tonight, I'm going to try to get the names of the stones. I'm going to they're just like crumbled, and we're going to try to make sure they get put back together digitally. I'm going to take 3D scans of these stones. And I think the other thing we're going to talk to the Historical Society about, what Evan was talking about, like the sign leaning. It wasn't the gravestone that's leaning, her sign, that when you go right into the place, there's this beautiful black like shield sign right in the front, and it's like this. And it says Caroline Bonaparte, niece of Napoleon Bonaparte, her father Joseph Bonaparte, King of Spain, is buried here.
How about that?
Wow.
And it's like, why is that leaning? Like, you know how it takes 5 minutes to lean that thing up. So yeah, that's another thing I'm going to do.
And why not? You know, how do these stories come about? You tell great stories about them, right? So let's do it, right? And that's what we're trying to do. Hey, look, I'm hoping this thing will take off. Look, do we want a TV show? I'm not sure anymore. Now I'm thinking a YouTube show. We have more freedom, to do stuff, and because it's a different kind of format. Because again, I'm a Hollywood. I do TV shows, like big ones, and they know me to being adventure guy who listens to story. But this is so much purer when the footage and the story can be roughly told, because that's the look and the feel of it, and it looks more genuine. Now, great, but we're kind of melting because it's a lot of work.
It is. It's two people, like, and do we tell about Caleb? I mean, because he's already made it official.
Yeah, but
we have a third joining us.
We have my cousin who just got out of college, tech wizard. I don't even know. I didn't even ask him if he believes in the proto, but we need someone in technical ability to run our
It'll be fun to have somebody who doesn't believe to come into the show, because you need that too. You need that kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's really talented with computers. I mean, we want him as the tech guy in the back. I think having a young new set of eyes coming in with us, it's going to be great.
He's the one that you send down to all the horrible places.
We want to be. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
We've got I
have a guy named
investigator. Well, we have an extended investigator that comes with us sometimes, and we keep joking with her all the time. We're like, we're gonna put you in the coffin, or we're gonna send you down here by your. She's like, the fuck you are.
That's good, right?
See, when I was 16, the worst situation I ever got put in, I was on the Aquasasti Res at it was actually a drug rehabilitation center. Okay, yep, no problem. I'm good at talking, you know that. Yeah. Here, I'm gonna mute his computer real quick. Hold on.
You good?
He just unplugged his headphones.
I got.
Boom. There we go. Muted you, sorry. So I was the young guy, the new guy, and they had a building that had spontaneously combusted twice, and it's on the fire records. Just caught fire. And this area, there's where the nurses would go in. It was the room where it caught fire. The door would slam behind them, and it would lock sometimes. They also had their butts getting grabbed, getting pushed, hair pulled, all different bad stuff. So, being 16 years old, this was my third investigation in. And they're like, guess what, dude? You get to go in there with an EVP recorder. And I'm like, oh my. And of course, me being dumb and young, I'm like, ah. The second the lights went off, the second the door shut, I'm like, what did I do? And we had the DVR on me. And the weird part was, it was the scariest EVP I've ever caught to this day. Nothing has ever matched it. I'm sitting there in the dark and I'm asking the basic questions. And it's like, what's your name? When did you die? And I gave those questions. And as you guys know, 6-8 hours of EVP is, you'll have that done in about 2-3 weeks, possibly around that time. So you have a lot to listen to. Yeah. So we're sitting there. I was actually sitting at home at this point, and the lead investigator called me, and he's like, listen, I have audio I need you to listen to. I also have video that I need you to watch. You didn't talk, right? When you didn't answer the EVP questions. I went, no, why would I answer my own EVP questions?
Yeah.
And he goes, what you're about to hear is going to make you really disturbed. So we hit play, and I'm like, that's always the best thing you want to hear right before somebody
Exactly.
And it's my voice answering the EVP question, but he showed me the video, and my lips aren't moving. Something mimicked my voice, and it knew my name.
No.
So I said, I play. He hits play, and I went, what's your name? And it said Jack Vaisey. And I was like,
No.
okay. And it sounded like me, but it was like this. It was slightly off.
Like distorted?
So it was like not distorted. Like if you ever listen to yourself recorded and you're like, man, that's not what I sound like. But you knew it's you. It's that.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching the video and hearing the EVP, I'm like, okay, this is really disturbing. He goes, the second one I deleted. And I went, why? And he goes, because your next question is, when did you die? And it gave a future date. And I was like, thank you. And I never heard it.
No.
Right? That's some
Dude,
Final
fuck
Destination
that.
shit right
I
there.
didn't
I'm like,
wanna
no.
know.
Delete
No.
it, burn it. I burned the audio recorder at this point because I don't want anything to
No.
do with it.
No, I would want to
That
know
actually,
because I want to spend all my money and be done with it. I'm going to every place to ghost hunt I ever wanted to go at that point. The hell with it.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
I have a little video of how I.
This hasn't been released yet either. This footage.
Oh,
Let's show them.
yeah.
Let's do
Yes.
This is
Well,
Yeah.
record me.
I was gonna say if we want to
Send it in StreamYard.
I was gonna say if you're able to send it, I can actually pop it up onto the screen, and that way people
Perfect.
can actually see it.
Send it to me on WhatsApp. I'll put it right on here in presentation. You know I can do it.
Yeah, you can also do that too. Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
without-
I'll present it to you guys, and he's gonna send it to me right through WhatsApp. Yeah,
So-
there's been some creepy stuff.
Every real quick, while he's figuring that out, just have a real quick. I'm going to ask you, Jack, while he's figuring that out. So with the lady in white, we
Mhm.
know. I mean, as paranormal investigators, that every area, every lake, every
Right.
city, they all have a lady in white. So
Oh, absolutely.
what do you think is the, I guess, generalized concept of this phenomena?
Ooh. Honestly, I think it differs from story to story. I think a lot of them are just story things to keep kids off the water at night,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like, don't go on
Right.
the boat. The lady in white's out there, and you're like, I don't want to do that. Never mind. Here, I'm just getting this video.
Okay.
Okay, you're sending another one. Okay. Let me just do this B2. Honestly, I think, like I said, it differs from story to story. I've come across in the upstate New York region probably 20 of them.
Yeah.
And most of the time it's, they're described the same way. It's the lady in the white flowing dress with the flowing hair. Her arm is reaching to you, all that thing. And, most of the time I go out there and I'm just sitting there in the cold and I'm like, what am I doing out here? Like,
Been there, done that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Several times.
Exactly. But the craziest one besides this one that I've done that I know is real was the lady on the lake, and that was a lady in white in Lake Placid, New York.
Okay.
She lived in 1950. She was a professor at one of the most pristine colleges, and I have her name. I have all the records and everything. Getting it off the top of my head, probably not ADD. But basically, her husband went to go serve in the military, ended up dying, getting sick. Her son died. He ended up getting, I think it was tuberculosis, and basically she lost everything, and she went out in rowboat, and they never saw her again. So it was just a missing person case for only about 20 years, which 20 years is a long time. They went scuba diving in Lake Placid, and they found her at the bottom of the lake with the anchor tied around her neck. She took her own life.
Oh.
She's
wow.
preserved because the water gets so cold at the bottom of Lake Placid that it's the perfect temperature. So they brought her up and they gave her respects. But the story goes is that you will see the lady on the lake, and it's her. So I went out there, and of course, my dumbass thought January was a good time to go to Lake Placid. It's -20 outside. It's chilly, and I'm sitting there with the EVP recorder, like, okay, let's do this, guys. Like, that's a good idea. And I'm doing the EVP, and I was only able to stay out there for about 5 minutes because the wind's coming off the lake. But we caught something, and it wasn't something that I expected to catch because the term isn't from the 1950s. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, is this the lady in the lake? And all I hear is, fuck me. And I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait a second. So I played the EVP recorder. I'm on TikTok live now. And I'm like, I can't play this too many times, guys, because I'll get banned easily.
Right. Yeah.
So I have all my investigators that are with me,
Yeah.
and they're listening to it, and they said, this is what it sounds like. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So I ended up posting the video just to see if I'd get banned or not, or it would be taken down or not. But it didn't. They didn't ban it. They didn't do anything. And I get a comment from a lady who lives in Lake Placid, and she goes, I need to direct message you. Where can I direct message you? And I said, you could just DM me on my Facebook. And she's like, okay. So she messages me and she goes, that's my daughter.
What?
And I said, I'm sorry, what? She goes, my daughter drowned there in 2005. She was a teenager. That was one of her famous catchphrases, was like, when somebody was annoying her, it was the catchphrase, me. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah,
She goes,
yeah.
you recorded my daughter's voice.
Whoa.
Up to this day, goosebumps up and
I
down
know,
my
right?
arm. Like, look at that. Like, it's just, and so that's another reason I like these stories. Oh, we got another image. Okay. We're gonna have a lot of content coming up here for you guys.
It's the bangers. You know,
But
we
Go
got
ahead.
these things that we want to just show people.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
But that's the reason why like we do what we do. I think I might just screen share our
Yeah.
WhatsApp if that's okay. Because
if that's what you want to do, yeah.
Oh,
And then I can full screen, and I
this is on the
can,
camera.
and then I can get you full
Wonderful.
screen. As
Yep.
soon as you get it up, and I'll get you full screen, and then we can just talk about it in the background.
First time this is being
Right.
shown, huh? I love
Perfect.
that.
Like we are a live
yeah,
show,
this-
so
some
deal
of this
with
footage,
some.
some of it is
Yeah.
I was gonna say we are a live show,
Yeah.
so deal with some technical
listen.
stuff.
But
There
I
you
mean,
go.
that
I got
is
it. I'm
that
sharing it
is
with you guys right.
So this is a little bit quickened up from like
Mhm.
speed it up, but this is the process I get. This is Jack going live once without me there, and me just taking screen grabs of my phone back at home and helping him and sending it back in almost like 5 minutes later. He's like, "Oh my god!" So like, how cool is that? We're asking our audience now. We're allowed to do things like this.
And one more thing on that whole the whole subject with that lady messaging me. The biggest reason why I love doing what we're doing here is not just because of the live aspect. It's not to make money. It's not to be the next, Jason Hawes or whatever. It's because we're connecting with our community and we're building a family,
Right.
a large group of people. And
Mhm.
there, besides the woman from Lake Placid who messaged me, and let me tell you, that was one of the most surreal moments of being a paranormal investigator, was catching something where somebody's like, that's, and I got a picture of her daughter, and I'm not going to share it or anything like that because I told her I'd keep it private. But like, that's why we do what we do, is to be
Yeah.
able to give that, is there life after death?
Right.
And that was it for me. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
And the other cool thing about being a content creator and making this connection with people, I got a message about 4 or 5 months ago, and it was from one of these guys that follows me. He's disabled, really great person, and I won't mention any names, but he said he's like, you saved my life. And I just kind of was like, what? And he's like, the night that I stumbled upon you on TikTok, I was thinking about taking my life, and you
Oh,
talked to
wow.
me and you made me
Wow.
laugh, and I watched your video all night, and I went, it just brought me to tears. It was like, that's the reason why we do this, is
Mhm.
because we're out here and we're having fun together. We're going
Right.
live
Yeah.
and we're building a connection with people, and we're also just helping people forget about their everyday problems.
As
Yep.
entertainers, of
Absolutely.
course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring
Like
this up,
that-
let's do this.
Me full
So I'll
screen.
hit play and everything. Let me get that up. So this is Evan editing this in real time.
Okay.
It's quickened up a little bit.
Quick it up. Okay, gotcha.
So I see something there, and I'm like, "What's that?" And I bring it into Photo Director, and that's my particular app I use. But there's a bunch to get rid of the grain, and then at this point, it's so high res I can now zoom in and deblur it and denoise it, and now it has high res. And then I start pushing and pulling the contrast, the shadows. So you see, I'm not saying, but look at
Yeah.
that. It's a full. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, that's a skull, and it's a scary one too. And above it, right? Look, it's and then
Whoa.
above it, was two other kind of things.
Yeah, there's
And I
some
think
stuff up there.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Up there
Wow.
at the top.
crazy.
Absolutely.
It kind of goes back to that whole folklore
Yeah.
though, because like we were talking about, like, what is it? Like, why is that there? And it just reminds me of the old stories of Grim Reapers coming to claim and help
Yeah.
lost souls move over to the other side. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in Caroline Bonaparte's graveyard while this image is taken,
Well,
and there's
now,
so many lost
right.
souls in
So
there.
now
Was-
we're thinking,
Was this when you
in
heard those
relation-
footsteps coming up behind you?
Yeah, that was one of the nights, I think.
no, this is the night you were doing.
Oh no, this is the night I was live on TikTok. Evan was actually back in California and he was watching, and like he does that every time I go live. If he's not here, he's sitting there watching the screen and screenshotting and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel like you're with them live, and that's what I love
Mhm.
about this
Yeah.
live ghost hunting stuff. It's if you get into the zone with the people and you're in, like, if you're a guest on the I mean, if you're a viewer and say you ask, take a picture of that gravestone, I'll look it up for you. And then is there any significance? These people are live because we have a list of names maybe, and they can help, and that's cool as hell.
Yeah, this is another one that Evan caught. This was from the live the next night, I believe it was. It was at the bridge, and Yeah, this thing, he ends up catching
so
this
yeah,
image.
so you see, I see something over there. Of course, it starts with what's that, and then I enhance it and I go in, and then I'm like, well, that's a portal. Now my creative brain's like, it's a portal. We already claimed it's a portal from another place, so now, and you see, it has this like kind of like a kind of like a I don't know. Around it, it feels like it's a force. It's being kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah,
some energy to it.
it's just a weird,
Wow.
like, honestly, it's a lot darker than anything. And I've gone over there to see if there's
Mhm.
any rocks, dirt, signs, or anything that could have
Right.
like manipulated and made that to look that way. There's nothing there. There's just brush. There's shrubbery.
Right,
So it doesn't make much sense
and when
to.
we go there tonight, we're gonna go say, we need to, because everyone's gonna ask, well, what's over there? Well, now we need to go find
Yeah,
out.
we're gonna video that spot
Yeah.
tonight,
Right.
and it's gonna be a part of the episode. But the next thing that we have to show you, and this is the last images that we have.
Sorry to take over your show.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know.
No,
no,
you're
good.
fine.
You're
I'm
awesome.
fascinated.
Yeah.
Tonight before the show, actually, before we came on here, we were kind of telling more about this story. How me and Evan met was he was on one of my TikTok lives, and I was up in a cemetery actually where my fiance's grandfather's buried, and there was a beautiful sunset. It was going down below a field, and it was just gorgeous out there. So I started snapping a couple shots. Got home and realized in one of the pictures there was no sun. Like the sun wasn't in the photo.
Huh.
There was just shine around it and nothing else. And I was like, that's really weird. So I started looking around, and I was actually on TikTok Live, and Evan looked at me. He's like, dude, like he's on the comments. He's like, there's something in the bottom right corner. And all of a sudden he's like, let me send some stuff to you. And so in the bottom right corner, this was caught. This
What is
thing,
that?
and
I'll try to find
So-
the original picture.
oh yeah, that'd be great. So the weird part about this is, it's 20-mile-per-hour winds. It was in
Yeah.
October. We were having a warm October. There were no birds. There were no bugs. It was very, very windy out. And I'm like trying to size comparison in it. And I'm like looking at it. So Evan takes it and he puts it into more like AI, and he starts fixing it up a little bit. And then he brings it in even more. And I'm like, that's not a bird. What the hell is that thing?
What
I can
is
talk through
that?
this. So
It gets even weirder. Trust me.
what are we looking at here? We're looking at something that's well, it looks organic. And now I put the heat signature on it. It has the body of it is kind of hot, and it's displaying some sort of exhaust at the lower part, and it's and the wider shot, the next shot, and you'll see that that's the exhaust. So one more,
Yep.
and okay, so now you look at a bigger picture. It's kind of the exhaust seems to be kind of pressuring out. And on the left, you see this big kind of, I don't know, energy source that's coming, but
It kind of almost looks like the same right here. That kind of looks like the same kind of blackness that portal had at the end of the bridge.
Uh-huh.
it reminds me of, if you're all into Star Trek, the tardigan that they found that goes interdimensional.
I want to show the
It's
thermal
like
though
a-
you got of this. The
Hmm.
thermal's what really got me is when he darkened it and brought it into more of a thermal, you can actually see more detail like that right there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's not a bird. I mean,
What the hell
was
is
up in
that?
my-
That's
I have
crazy.
no idea. And the thing
I've
is, we
never-
started researching it. We
Yeah.
started like looking into it. Has anybody else, taken photos of this kind of thing? Like, has anybody else seen anything like
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
And the weird fact is there are a lot of sightings of these organic looking flying creatures, spacecrafts.
No, he's saying
interdimensional
I
things.
I already had a thing on this. I already know. It's people say they're aliens. I don't think so. I think there is interdimensional beings. They're organic,
Right.
and they've been here forever. We just can't see them. And you see them sometimes, right? So are there aliens? No, but there are other things living here that we don't know about. And I'm not sure why we're seeing them, but there's been a rash of them. I'm getting a
Mhm.
lot of photos, and now that people know I do this, I get sent photos,
Mhm.
and it's really mind-boggling. They look like squid, jellyfish, kind of some sort
Yeah.
of floating organic creature. Now I'm not gonna say I know what it is because I don't be a kook, but I'm getting it.
Well, you
I'm
did
getting it.
see the footage that the Pentagon, I think it was the Pentagon just released. It looked like a jellyfish that was like flying through the air. So I don't know what the hell that was either.
Who
So.
had spaghetti monsters in 2024?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, on your bingo card.
Not on my bingo
Yeah,
card.
exactly.
Nope.
Not on mine, no.
But what you guys are
So-
doing, man, everything that you guys are doing, it is so impressive, and you're doing everything, for lack of a better term, the right way, because the way you present the history, the way you respect the story, the way you respect the community, and what you're bringing out, and the camera work is fantastic, and it's amazing, and I can't wait to see what you guys have coming down the pipeline. But I do have to ask you a question, because we have so many years of experience on screen right now. What is your favorite place that you've ever investigated, and what was your favorite experience from there?
People want to know that.
I'm gonna let Evan go first, because I got a good place too.
When I go to Josh Gates' speaking engagements, they ask me. I'm sitting in the crowd, so they really want to know what happened at the forest. That's a thing. But to me, this stuff we're doing now is the best, because I'm in control of the narrative, so to speak. We have no time limit. We don't have to be anywhere. There's not lunch coming up. But it's when you come from another world of paranormal investigating that is television. It's believe me, the shows I do are real, like the things that happen, because Josh Gates has a real strict. We fired people before and all this stuff. You can't. So we all know that you don't need to do any of that, right? Because it's right in front of you. But what was the question?
The most haunted location, or is it your favorite haunted location?
Your favorite location and your favorite.
All right, so it has to be Chernobyl for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
That's
first of all the getting there, and then putting on the radiation suit and not taking it off the whole time, and just fucking super paranoid, and like you can't see, and there's these shadow creatures everywhere, and it's so unique. You walk into these places and the books are still there, and it's just that alone is spooky. And how many people died there. You don't have to go far from that. And we usually have the run of a place all night. Like we did King Tut's tomb all night. We did seance there. We've done a little bit of money, at least back then. You can do something all night.
Well, you spent 3
cool.
nights in a cave.
Which one? Which cave?
Taos Cave?
Oh, the Taos Cave. That was one of the most dangerous things I've done. Is
that the one where you guys got sick?
Yeah. The Taos Cave. We're looking for the metal library. This is the second biggest cave in the world. We actually explored new parts of it. You get hoisted down 400 feet. You can't get out. Done. And I had a panic attack that night. I don't have many. I mentioned 2 now, but I had one in my tent. Usually with panic attack, you're like, I know it's okay. Nothing, I can get out of it, but I couldn't. So you have to deal with that. And there were moments where I do diving, and Josh and I go solo usually and do like the more adventurous stuff. And we had to go underneath a tube, underwater 10 feet, and to get to this place. And I was like, that ding, ding, ding. Don't feel right. But they diverted like a little stream. So, I mean, we're talking way down, little tunnels that are made from like lava, and we're like Goonies. We're like, but it's like, this is before the kids in the Philippines, in Thailand got stuck in the cave when it rained. That could have happened to us. And so we had to do a full commitment, because I'm first, to go in and know that maybe one wrong turn, it's cave diving, you're screwed. And so, but the point of that story is when I did come up, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And it's a place that no one has seen. And that you sometimes have to go do that to get there. And especially on Expedition, it was this huge bell stalactite. It was just a bell, and it was dusted with like diamondy. It was filled. The room was so old. It was and it was like really special. And
that's awesome.
But then we had to go home, and then we got sick.
Yeah, you guys got sick.
The helicopter didn't want to pick us up because of insurance reasons, so we had to walk back. So all these things you don't know. And Josh and I ended up in the hospital with rotavirus.
Oh no! What, was it from the bats in there, or did you get sick in the cave?
Human doodle.
Oh no!
They couldn't get out. They were 400 feet down in a cave.
Yeah.
It's like a game of Clue. It was the cook in the cave. Everybody rotavirus.
Yeah, did everybody designate a pee corner? And it's like everybody pees over here.
No, that's the thing. No, that's
the problem right there.
There were these
always got to make a corner.
Caves that were like as big as football fields. 1, 2 of them, and these 2 big caves, and these birds in there that use echolocation. They're unique to the one, and it's like the pterodactyls, and you know, with bats, if you get close, you can
Right.
feel the
Yeah.
wind. You know, it was like what? And then the floor would be moving with cockroaches. I mean, the place was incredibly. I mean,
When you just said that, it was just the bats. All I could think is Chicago.
it wasn't
Jim
bats,
Carrey,
it
like
was birds, and then there was this
Yeah.
snakes that they start their own world down there. Once they're down there, they can't get out, so they change.
Mhm.
But albino and it was nuts. But
Yeah.
that's Expedition Unknown. That's what we want, right? You want that.
And that's one thing I said to Evan when we shoot this show and like when we're doing our thing, I want us to feel more like DT because of the funny aspect. Like me
Mhm.
and him, we'll just joke around, but then when it gets into the actual investigation and everything, like we'll be a lot more serious. But we have a whole blooper reel from season 1 that has not been released, and that's gonna go out. And there's some funniness of that. But going to the same question that you asked Evan, one of my favorite paranormal investigations that I just recently did, I didn't get to go live on TikTok
Mhm.
because I was about 300 to 400 feet underground. I got to go into a 3 million-year-old cave in Pennsylvania that had like 20 to 30 miles of caves that some have been explored, some haven't. And I got to
Wow.
be the first paranormal investigator with another team to do a paranormal investigation in these caves. And
They weren't
Oh.
mining caves; they were old caves.
they were just old caves. I mean, they were just natural stalactites and everything. It was cool. There was nothing living down there either. All the other entrances to the cave were blocked, and there's only one entrance through this old house. And I went down these
What?
stairs. Oh,
Oh, that
creepy.
sounds cool.
It's right
Yeah.
under the house. They opened it in the 1800s, and you go down the stairs in the basement, and all of a sudden you open the basement door, and it's just this giant concrete staircase into darkness. There's no lights down there. So you have to bring your flashlight. And they
That's kind
said,
of
if your
amazing.
flashlight goes, you're screwed. Like, have a backup
Yeah.
of your backup.
True.
So I did an EVP session in a little cavern by myself. I crawled back in there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm like trying to think about what kind of question do I ask? And I'm about to say, is there's anything here? All of a sudden you hear behind me, and I'm like, that better be water. Because there's
Oh,
nothing
no.
living down there.
Yeah.
And I have that video actually, and it has not been posted. That's going on our Patreon. It is terrifying. And you just see my face go from this to like I'm about to die. Like I
Just
hope
show
whoever
that.
finds this phone posts this.
Just
Because-
flashback to the descent.
We actually
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that look very well and have probably caught it on each other's faces more than once.
Mhm.
And you guys are going live this evening, correct?
We're hoping, this area is very remote and stuff like that too. So the cell phone reception, it all depends on what night you get out there. If it's cloudy, you have horrible reception. If it's clear, and that's why we have the Kickstarter is to get Starlink and get so we're gonna get Starlink either way. It's gonna happen, But that's our goal, so we can get into these remote places. So we're hoping going live tonight, doing some filming of the episode, and
Yeah, we're using the live. I mean, as part of the show.
yeah.
It's like a intermingled. Like when someone is helping us, I'm filming it, so it's in part of the story. I think this is a really cool time for filmmaking, and people say, well, everyone's a filmmaker now. Like when I was growing up, you had to get jumped in, you had to know somebody, you had to work free forever.
Mhm.
Like it to be, do your own thing. And it was tough. Like roll a 10-minute film was $100, and then you have to develop it, and if it's out of focus, there's a hair in the gate. Oh gosh, right? Now everyone has a camera and it's great, but like I say, everyone has a car, but are they race car drivers, right? So
Right.
taking it all.
Some people like to think so.
It's about storytelling at the end, isn't it? It's about
Right.
Yeah.
being authentic
Mhm.
with what your feelings are and being the expert at something. And this is my shot. I can tell you the truth. I'm 57 years old. I know I look young, but
Hey,
This
don't
is- yeah.
hide the
I've-
handsome Evan. Don't hide it.
I've been in the beginning of a lot of things, and I've taken advantage, but not really. This is something I'm seeing with social media, live streaming. This guy has, and Jack invited me into his page, and now he said this is our page. So now I have this opportunity, just a boom of 220,000 followers. We do, and we're that's it. I'm not going to let this go, right?
Yeah.
And now this live idea about taking it on the with a backpack and with Starlink and going and doing the third act. This is fun stuff.
DT Live. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
DT
it.
Live.
Yeah.
And like Jack said, it used to be Josh used to host a Halloween show every at Sci-Fi live, and this thing, I was a filmmaker on it. This thing would get amazing
Views and everything.
views,
Yeah.
and
People
the
were tuning in.
ratings went nuts.
Mhm.
And that's why these people are doing good now with it as well. We want to join the team, the people doing it, and we want to do a little different, which is great. I actually like what's going on with the young folks, how they're doing it. They're killing it, man. They're killing the game, and isn't that
Yeah.
cool? And I love it. I love adapting to my language, which is film and telling stories. Look at this iPhone 15. This thing, look, you go on YouTube, it's like red camera, this, I don't know which one is it, so
The other thing I
no
like about
excuses, right?
season 2 as well is we're not just filming with me and Evan. We have people from that worked with me originally on TikTok. I had
Shout out.
shout out, yeah.
What's it called?
Well, I won't go there, but because I know you said you don't do shout outs, but like having my original
No.
team there with season 2, they my cousin Dave, my friend Eric, who is that guy who loves going to be locked into
Right.
places that nobody else wants.
Mhm.
You always need one of those on the team, and Eric is that guy for
Mhm.
me. And our friend Brandy, who is a historian and she's a great investigator, she likes getting right into it. They're great to have along, and we have them coming in, and that's the thing. It's not just me and Evan, it's me and Evan most of the time, but then sometimes we'll bring in that person that is more of an expert of that area because they live there. They're a
Yeah.
part of that, area. And every single person that's on my team has generations and generations of family that have lived in these areas. And
Yeah.
That's actually a good point. What the folks we meet up here, sorry, Jack.
No, you're good.
Jack's
ADD.
yeah, Jack's which this is really cool actually. Jack and his friends and people we meet around here are from, the Mayflower.
We
all
just
the way
found
up.
out that my mother's a genealogist, and she just dropped that bombshell on me today.
So-
I found out my
Very
family's
nice.
from 1600s and
Right.
further back.
So these are real Americans, that are going into history, triggering maybe something because of their history. Let's go there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we're all immigrants, of course, from other places,
Right.
but to have that connection in this area, and he's not inbred.
Well,
Not inbred. You heard
Gentlemen.
it here first, folks.
Right?
gentlemen, I have to tell you, far be
I
it
lost
for
color.
us
Okay.
to
You're
hold
good.
up your
I'll get you-
production because trust me, I'm going to go look for you guys to go live. So I
Appreciate
tell you
that.
what, Jack, why don't you
They're
tell
awesome. It's
everybody
nice.
where they can find you, follow you, and be part of what you're doing?
Absolutely. So we're about to end, Evan. So I'm just gonna let you know he's just getting his laptop powered
But
back
I
on.
want
He's
to talk
fine.
some more, but you can.
Okay, so where you guys can find us is actually we're on a lot of different social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We even have a LinkedIn where we post stuff sometimes for more of the professional aspect.
Yes.
So all of our links are in our link tree, and if you go to YouTube at SVC Explorers of the Unknown, it's right there. You can
That's
see it.
right.
You can actually find our link tree on our profile. Click it; it will take you to everything that we run. We even have a merchandise store. We have all different kinds of stuff.
That's
It's
right.
great.
And
That-
more to come.
Yeah.
And more to come. And that is what we will be looking for. And we appreciate y'all's time tonight. We've kept you longer than we appreciate you taking the time. And so, gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for watching Everything Vaguely Paranormal tonight. My name is Shelley Pruitt. My partners in the paranormal, Mr. Blake Smith, Mr. Ryan Roberts, and a very special thank you to our guests from SVC Explorers of the Unknown, Mr. Evan B. Stone and Mr. Jack Vaisey. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And as always, we will see you next
You're the
Tuesday.
best. This is awesome.
You guys are
Bye,
awesome.
guys.
Bye, y'all.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.